is day 3 of the Mock-A-Thon.
Mock-A-Thon.
And we got a 14-team draft for you coming right at you right now.
14 teams!
And welcome back to the Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jono.
And I'm your host, Chris. And we are brought to you by all these little figurines here. We have a 14-team draft here. As a request, we're changing it up every day. There's something different. We'll do some standards. We'll do some PPR. We'll do a 10-man team. We already did that on Monday. Today, we got a 14-team standard league for you. Jono is going to be drafting at the 10th spot. I'm drafting out of the 13th spot, putting us right at the back end of the draft. Here we go. Let's get it rolling.
Yeah, well, real quick before we jump
right,
in.
Maybe not.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification button. We are on the race now to 500 subs. At the 500 sub mark, we're going to pick one lucky subscriber to get a piece of swag from the Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. So we'll be reaching out to you to get your size information and where to ship.
I'll personally sign it.
Please
I will personally sign it.
Please don't. That decreases value.
Oh, wow. Insults being thrown first. Anyway, the draft gets started.
I'm drafting
my
from
my dickhead freaking co-host over here wants to throw shade on me. So we got Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, A.J. Brown, Breece Hall, and Jono is up. This little scumbag, skinny-necked, thin-headed motherfucker.
At the 10 spot. I have 3 running backs here at the top of my board. My plan here is to go 0 running back in this 14 team.
Go ahead. Do it.
I feel like I can scoop up a lot and later on the drafts. It is a risky move to make at the 14 team. So, yeah, exactly. With us being so close together. So, right here, if I were to go running back, I would like to do Saquon Barkley here versus Taylor and Gibbs. I have Saquon ranked above them in my rankings. Taylor's very, very close with Saquon. I'm happy to go with either one. Gibbs scares me a little bit with an already injured hamstring in preseason and still having to split backfield with Montgomery. Kyron's another one who's up there, right there with Gibbs, Taylor, Saquon. So instead, I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. I want to get this guy on my team. I want to see what this team can do with Aaron Rodgers.
Gibbs, Barkley, and Jonathan Taylor sitting there for me on the board. I love it. I'm going to go and smash Jonathan Taylor right here.
If you're in that 12-team league or 14-team league, and you have Taylor fall to you here at the end of the draft, it is a present.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sitting here. We got Travis Etienne, Kyron Williams, and Derrick Henry. I'm going to basically I'm not going to get a chance at any one of them. So I'm going to go and take the one I favor the most. And I like Etienne and I like Kyron. But Derrick Henry, new offense, new year. First time in his career, he's playing with a quarterback that's going to command probably more fear than him. So I love that for him. I love the ability at the goal line. I think he's going to have 13-plus touchdowns this year. And so I want that if I can get him and stack him up with Jonathan Taylor. So give me some Derrick Henry.
The king. Which Kyron and Etienne go right afterwards, and I fully expected that to happen. If you're sitting here saying, I want to still try and get one of these running backs in the top rounds, you would go Josh Jacobs most likely here, but I'm not going to do that. So I have a choice between Drake London, too rich for my blood right here, Josh Allen. I don't want to go quarterback this early. So I'm going to go with the guy who I'd be happy to take 10 out of 10 times in this position. That's Devontae Adams.
Is it Drake London? I'm just noticing this right now. We have a miniature-sized Lamar Jackson and an actual-sized Kyler Murray.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point.
And as a figurine, they're the same height. Like if he was an actual miniature, he'd be like
half the size.
Anyway,
so the way the draft has gone so far afterwards, you have a big run on players with Drake London, Achane, Josh Allen, Chris Olave, Deebo Samuel, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Josh Jacobs, Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, Pacheco, and Rachaad White. And Team 4 is taking way more time than fully expected for it to come back to me at the 10th spot. So we'll see where Team 4 goes.
I actually have all the picks here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So after Rachaad White was Stephon Diggs and Mike Evans, Jalen Hurts, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, Lamar Jackson, and you are on the clock.
Okay, yep, I see that back here. Quick refresh of the browser.
Little refresh.
So we had a run on quarterbacks and wide receivers starting when Team 4 came around here, and I like that. I'm okay with that. That being said, I kind of want to go in a position here where I want to take one of the top quarterbacks. Honestly, a guy who could finish as quarterback 1 again this season, and that's Pat Mahomes. I want to get my quarterback early in this draft and see how this one pans out for me.
All right, so we got DK on the board, Malik Neighbors on the board, Joe Mixon, Michael Pittman. A ton of value still here. I go Taylor and Henry. I want to start solidifying some wide receivers, get that high end. A 14-team draft, you don't want to start waiting on these big runs to happen. You're going to lose out, and this is probably on a 14-team. John is going to show it here. On a 14-team league, it's going to be really hard to do a 0 running back or a 0 wide receiver strategy.
Yeah, it will be.
And you're going to end up with some of the bare scraps of it because other teams are going to value those. I mean, you look at 11, 12, and then myself at 13. We all went dual running backs in the first 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go and get DK here.
With solid floor, high upside.
Mark Andrews goes, Malik Neighbors goes, and this is kind of perfect. This is what I wanted to happen. Michael Pittman is sitting there for me. I really like that. Michael Pittman, DK as my top 2 receiving pass catchers. 14 team is a great format to fade quarterback. Because you're going to lose value up top. And that's fine when everyone has their QB1. You can go stack up at receiver and running back and really like the way you look.
So really, I want to show all the viewers out there a scenario in a 14-team, 0 running back draft style is one that we both don't recommend, and I normally would not do at all. But I want to see how good of a team I could put together or how bad of a team it looks, just to show you guys this may be something you want to avoid, even if you're taking running backs that you don't necessarily love, but getting one of those top-end guys.
I'm going to tell you right now, Team 12 at some point this season is making a trade.
Yeah, well, I have to at this point. I'm going to continue that 0 RB, and I'm going to take, to me, best on board wide receiver-wise here. Tank Dell may have a week-to-week, week-winning upside, but the floor is so high with Devonta Smith in this offense. Give me some of Devonta. Let me take the sounds off in case you guys are getting those bings each time. Alvin Kamara, Trey McBride, Tank Dell, Kenneth Walker, Kincaid, Aaron Jones, 3 wide receivers, and Cooper Flowers and Higgins follow up there. Round 5 starts off with Anthony Richardson, then Connor, Pickens, Montgomery, Burrow, Zamir, Kittle, DeAndre Swift, and Keenan Allen. And now I'm sitting here at the 5th round. It's technically still a 0 RB if I were to take one here, but I want to really stretch this if I can, and I'm going to take a high-end wide receiver with upside, number 1 on his team, and that's Terry McLaurin. Christian Kirk, Tony Pollard, on to Chris here.
Yeah, and sitting here, I know, all right, the team behind me, the only team behind me, Kyle Pitts is a guy I would draft here right now.
Yes.
But I know the team behind me already has Mark Andrews, so he's not going to take him. So I can go and get another running back. I can go and get another receiver. And I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to take Ramondre Stevenson here. And then it's going to swing back around. Dak Prescott goes, Najee Harris goes, and Kyle Pitts is still staying there for me. Let me do a little quick segment on Kyle Pitts, because I think this is a year that Kyle Pitts really emerges as the guy we thought he was going to be when he came out of college. I think he is a legitimate quarterback now with him that can get him the ball, and with an offense that there aren't a lot of weapons. When he comes in, I think Calvin Ridley was a better receiver than he is. I think he might be a better pass catcher than Drake London is.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to feed him the ball. He might be the feature on this offense other than Bijan. And this is the year you want to have Kyle Pitts.
Ingram goes right afterwards. Mostert. Ingram and Mostert were the top 2 choices here that I really wanted. That kind of really, really sucks. So I mean, at this point, too, running back wise, Nick Chubb, Zach Moss, Javonte Williams, Austin Eckler, just a bunch of the same. I think Zach Moss is worth taking somebody here, but in the 6th round, I don't want to necessarily do that. To me, I'd rather go in and just dig in deeper. Tight end wise, Ingram was the last of the guys I liked there. I do love Brock Bowers, and this may be my opportunity to go grab a guy like Brock Bowers who can have a season difference maker at the tight end position. So I'm going to dig my heels into the 0 running back and continue and during round 6 to go with Brock Bowers, no running back yet, with the hopes that some of these guys fall to me in the 7th round. As you can see, 2 more running backs off the board, or 3 with Brooks, Chubb, and Moss. Javonte Williams, another one in the 7th, Jalen Warren, Austin Eckler. And sitting here, I'm happy with the fact that at least one of those running backs that I was really looking at in terms of Singletary, Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards are still here. I think Singletary is going to have first man up, but I don't love that offense. Brian Robinson, first man up. I'd like the offense a little bit better. But give me the Gus bus. The presumed number 1 guy for this offense. Greg Roman, loved him over in Baltimore, loves him again here. He's on a style offense is going to be heavy run first and pass afterwards. Give him the opportunity here and hopes that Singletary, Brian Robinson, Tajay Spears, one of those 3 guys makes their way back to me as well.
All right, so now I'm going to start loading up on other wide receivers. Again, and we've talked about this guy enough. Keon Coleman being the wide receiver 1 for the Buffalo Bills. He's a big target. I know there's been a lot of hate on him in the preseason. I don't think you should shy away from it. There needs to be pass catchers there, and it's not going to be Shakir and Curtis Samuel. Yeah. Those guys are not wide receiver 1s. Keon Coleman can be. And even if it's for a year, do I love him so much in a dynasty format? Not as much, because there's a potential of like Kelvin Benjamin, 3-4 years, and I know we drafted him, but
no, I actually like it more than people think. But.
Yeah, I think he's super athletic. He's a big guy. I know that Steve Smith did a profile on him on how his size is not going to translate to the NFL, but tell that to all the other guys that come in his size, that their size doesn't translate to the NFL. And Steve Smith obviously has a prejudice for that because he didn't come in as a big guy, but he played big and he played tough. But these big guys do come in, and Keon Coleman showed it in college. He plays big. He plays physical. He can take the hits. He can separate, and he can win the 50-50 balls.
Well, let's just talk about the direct comparison for a guy who had a successful rookie campaign last year in Puka Nacua. Both have size. Both have similar game profile. Both had slow 40 times, but fast gauntlet times, and have high-end game speed. There's a chance Keon Coleman can profile exactly what Puka Nacua was last year, and maybe not do he's not going to break the records like that, but all you need is him to be 2/3 of Puka Nacua for him to have a successful rookie campaign.
Yeah. And so now going into the back end, I'm going to go back-to-back rookie wide receivers here. And again, I'm solidified up top, I think, enough with DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman that I can go and get 2 rookies here that I think between these 2, one of them is going to emerge as a prolific pass catcher and and have great fantasy output, and that's Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, I agree with that. We had a run on wide receivers, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. Unfortunately, Singletary and Robinson, 2 of the guys that I wanted to spear up my RB2 were not there, but that's all right. I have a choice here between Tajay Spears, Zeke Elliott, Jerome Ford, Chase Brown, some of the names I'm throwing out there I like.
Before you make a pick, let me kind of ask you something, because you are doing this 0 running back strategy where now you only have 1 running back and we are sitting with 20 picks before you. I know a guy that you like is Rico Dowdle. Would you be willing to overdraft him in this kind of scenario?
The fact that ADP-wise Dowdle is 146 in this ADP, that's 40 picks from now. I'd risk it. That's exactly what I'm aiming to do. I want Dowdle next round.
Right.
But I'd rather still have Tajay Spears this round.
Right.
And hope that and not Zeke to get Dowdle the next round.
I'm just trying to put it out to our viewers, and if you're in a situation like this where you find yourself where you have 1 running back, like this is the time, and you're sitting with 15 to 20 picks in front of you before you're picking again. You need to reach on it. Like, I think throw ADP out the window.
ADP is completely out the window for a situation like this.
And you need to go and get the players on your team that fill your team out.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't like these strategies, because like I'm always a big proponent of like fill your team. Then you can go and do whatever you want.
Well, I'm going to be playing in the situation here. I'm going to get good value out here at running backs, but I'm going to be piecing together week by week matchup.
Yeah.
That's and hope for an injury to give myself a league winner.
It creates a headache.
It does. So I'm going to go Tajay here. I thought about going Chase Brown instead of Tajay because I like the offense better there. But Tajay has a better chance to be of touches over Chase Brown with Zach Moss ahead of him. So afterwards, Trey Benson in terms of running backs goes. You got Caleb Williams, Christian Watson, Tua, JSN, Goddard, Benson, Jaden Daniels, Jameson Williams, Zeke, Jerome Ford, Jared Goff, Blake Corum, Tyler Lockett, Curtis Samuel, Cortland Sutton, TJ Hawkinson, Chase Brown almost fell to me here, which would have been a great pick, Dalton Schultz. And now we're talking about what I was talking about before, is I love Rico Dowdle here. Don't follow the ADP. Don't follow the projection. He's projected 87.6 points here, 476 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, 160 through the air. You look at Zach Charbonnet is projected more rushing and receiving yards than he is. I think there's a better path to Rico Dowdle in touches behind a elder Zeke Elliott than there is Charbonnet in front of a solid Kenneth Walker. You could go Chuba Hubbard here. He can be early on for you, very good, and that's an option you can do as well. Ty Chandler does not move the needle for me, even if Aaron Jones is over the hump. Ty Chandler didn't do much for me last year, in my opinion. And then J.K. Dobbins, I don't want to have 2 guys from the same team. I'd take a flyer on him if I didn't have Gus Edwards already. So give me Rico Dowdle. Romeo Doubs, Justin Herbert.
Beautiful. This is kind of what I wanted to happen. Is it was like he would take Justin Herbert because I didn't want him. But now I'm in a position, I don't have a quarterback. I need to go and get a quarterback. And being at the tail end of the draft and, at the 13th pick, I'm going to load up on back-to-back quarterbacks here. So I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence with my first pick. We're going to have tight ends go, wide receiver go, and I'm going to be here again where I'm going to have an opportunity to pick up Aaron Rodgers here. So Trevor Lawrence is my starter. Aaron Rodgers is my backup. And I really like now that my team is starting to fill out where I have 2 quarterbacks that I can play based on matchup.
Yeah.
I have plenty of receivers, plenty of running backs up top. Now I'm filling depth out. I have my final 3 picks, and this is where I'm saying that if you're going to fade quarterback, 14 team and this year is the year to do it. And if you're in a 14 team, I wouldn't invest heavy into an early round draft. I'm not touching a quarterback in the first 6 rounds in a 14 team.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So here's where you kind of scratch your head is like, okay, I'm probably going to take one more running back here, and then I'm going to fill out wide receivers or best on board for the last 3 rounds here because I may not get an opportunity to get another solid starting opportunity running back. Now, you got Zach Charbonnet here, solid backup to Kenneth Walker. Chuba Hubbard, who may have early season work. They're already saying Jonathan Brooks is like a week 4 before he gets back in. Now, Chris and I both agree they shouldn't play Brooks at all because they're not a playoff team, but I feel like they're going to. And that season long, like, okay, maybe the first couple weeks, Chuba Hubbard's my RB2 or RB1. Don't love that going forward. I want somebody who has full season potential. Give me, and I'm going to go down on the board here, Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier is going to have a piece of this offense. He may be a flex appeal for there at RB2 if I have to, but if anything happens to Bijan Robinson, he is a league-winning RB2 with the RB1 upside on this offense. So that solidifies my 4th running back in a row here. And the 4th running back I'm probably going to take unless other best on board comes here. But afterwards, 3 running backs in a row in Charbonnet, Dobbins, Hubbard, Kirk Cousins, 5 receivers, a run on them with Myers, Palmer, Leggett, Judy, Mike Williams, Ty Chandler, Jalen Wright start off the 11th round. Musgrave, Shaheed, Gabe Davis, Taysom Hill, Jahan Dotson, Brandon Cooks, and Jalen Polk. And now I'm looking here. With Pat Mahomes, I don't need another one. I could think about maybe going another tight end here with the fact that I do have Brock Bowers. It would be Ben Sinnott. I don't want 2 rookie tight ends. I'd rather just put all my eggs in the one basket of Brock Bowers and his talent. So that's what I'm going to do. So what can I do here with upside? Jaleel McLaughlin is an opportunity at the running back position. You have Adam Thielen on our offense here. Kamani Vidal, Darnell Mooney. Give me opportunities. I don't want to double up on those Chargers running backs right now. Give me opportunities. So why don't I go with another running back here that I wanted to go receiver. I don't love what's here. I feel like I can get one of these guys that, on the back end of it and be okay with that too. So at the running back position, is it Marshawn Lloyd? Is it Jaleel McLaughlin? Is it Ray Davis? Those are the three I'm looking at. Or is it Braylon Allen? I think there's a better pathway to touches for Ray Davis, but there's touchdown capital in Braylon Allen. You have Marshawn Lloyd in a good position, and you have Jaleel McLaughlin in a good position as a pass catcher too as well. In my opinion, I'm going to give myself an opportunity to be on a high-scoring offense and go take Ray Davis. If James Cook starts to have struggles, if he has injuries, if he loses goal line work, if Josh Allen takes a step back there, somebody's going to reap the benefits, and that could be a late-season Ray Davis push for me. Dontavion Wicks, Matt Stafford, go. Chris on the board.
Yeah, I think I want to get another running back here. I only have 3 on my team, although I really like the 3 that I have, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and Ramondre Stevenson. I do want some backups here just in case something happens. And last draft I drafted Braylon Allen, gave him a little shout-out. This is another sleeper pick of mine that I really like. His ADP is way after this, but I want to start highlighting players for you guys in a sleeper position. This is a guy you definitely should keep your eye on, is Tyrone Tracy.
Oh, yeah.
I really think that he is going to emerge. It's him and Eric Gray are going to take over this backfield at some point. Or a month ago, I really thought Devin Singletary was going to be a workhorse back for the Giants, and I don't think that's the case. And the more and more you watch the Giants and the more you see this offense, the more and more I believe that he's not going to be, by the second half of the season, he's probably not going to garner any touches.
Well, I agree with you. Look at what Daboll did with the Bills back in the day. They had an opportunity where they had Singletary and Zach Moss and other pieces, and they just shifted people around, different personnels and packages.
Tracy's big-time playmaking ability is there. He's a rookie. He was converted wide receiver. He runs physical for a guy that's elusive.
Yeah.
And I like that about him. And I think that he's going to be involved a lot more in this offense. Now with the second pick here, wide receiver, I think I'm fine, but I do want to add one more piece of depth, and I think that the ADP value is there for the wide receivers. Adam Thielen, to be able to get him in the 12th round is absolutely absurd.
I think people are just forgetting about him.
I think people are forgetting about him. And I don't think that Leggett, and I don't think that Terrence Marshall or Mingo, these guys are not going to overtake him. And
he's a proven veteran.
Yeah. He gets open. He gets separation. He catches everything. Give me some Adam Thielen in the 12th round.
Yeah, and I'd be crazy, but not too crazy with the way I drafted earlier. That's what crazy was, to go with a 6th running back in a row, but I'm not going to do that. I would be looking here at Jaleel McLaughlin or Kamani Vidal if I don't think that it's going to be the Gus Bus this season. I'm going to go wide receiver here. I need to get more depth here. Give me a little bit of Darnell Mooney. I've been drafting him late in these rounds, this 12th, 13th round, a lot. He's
a Mooney guy.
Yeah,
You're a Mooney guy.
To me, he gives a floor. He gives a better floor than some people too, because what this offense is supposed to be. You got Gibson, Cade Otton, Ricky Pearsall, Jaleel McLaughlin, Deshaun Watson, Sinnott, Franklin, Vidal, Quentin Johnston. A big run on running backs and tight ends with Braylon Allen, Isaiah Likely, Khalil Herbert, Eli Mitchell, Dameon Pierce, Hunter Henry to start off the 13th round. Pop Douglas, Bucky Irving, and then Michael Wilson to get to my last pick here. And I'm going to take a chance on a guy here with my last pick, because what do I have to lose? This is depth player. I can go with somebody like Luke McCaffrey, who I do like. Malachi Corley, rookie for the Jets, who is fighting for that slot receiver role. Audric Estime, who's shown flashes at the running back spot there for that. But I want to go take a piece of the offense, which it was a highly drafted rookie last year who just was terrible, but has an opportunity. They're going to sieve some carries to him, and he showed some nice stuff this preseason already. I'll take a chance on Tank Bigsby at the end here, in that if something happens to the highly used ETN, this is going to be the next guy up.
Yeah. And with my final pick, I'm going to highlight another one of my sleepers, and this is especially late round guys. I had him last year. I absolutely loved him. If he didn't get hurt last year, this was a league-winning guy. It's Keaton Mitchell from the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to be back in the second half of the season. I already have Derrick Henry. He's going to be a great spell back. He is Devon Achane light. And there are games, and I guarantee you this is going to happen later in the season, where starting both Keaton Mitchell and Derrick Henry in a game is completely feasible.
Yeah.
The same way Raheem Mostert and Achane were
Startable.
both startable in games.
Yeah.
And Keaton Mitchell is a guy that, he had a gruesome non-contact knee injury. His knee folded last year. I hope his recovery went really well. He looks like he's going to start the season on the PUP list. That's fine. He's going to miss at least the first 4 games. He's going to be back this season. And with Derrick Henry there, they don't have to rush him back. But as soon as he does come back, and this is where you draft, guys, start thinking these late round guys, these 14th and 15th round picks, if you're already getting defense, you're already getting kickers earlier, your late round picks, you should be looking at schedules in the second half of the season, especially during fantasy playoffs. Your draft should be set up where your first 8-9 picks are your starting lineup guys. And then really start to dive into what is the fantasy playoff schedule, who are the matchups, and who are the guys that can emerge late in the season. And obviously, like Jonathan Brooks is a great example of this, but his ADP is going way too high for me because he's going within those first 8 rounds. But second half of the season, he could be a league winner. And a league winner is in like you make the playoffs and you're going to win the playoffs and win the championship because you get a guy that is going to emerge in the second half of the season. I mean, the last 3 years that I've been in the championship, it's not because my team is just racking wins every week. It's because I made the playoffs and then I happen to have the guys later in the season that just go off.
Your James Conner,
RB1.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Devin Singletary, or 3 years ago, Devin Singletary, RB1 in the fantasy playoffs. Like, you get guys like that people are sleeping on and not valuing. Adam Thielen is another guy that I really like in this value for that. Because second half of the season, this is a guy that the offense is going to be probably running a little bit better. Jonathan Brooks is going to be in that. So play is going to be taken away from, they're going to have to probably stack boxes a little bit more. He's going to have more capabilities down the field. Tyrone Tracy, another one, emerging later season. And so my last 3 picks are complete flyer picks. But they're also guys that, like, if things don't work out, I can cut and whatever.
Yeah.
I can drop one of them for the hottest waiver wire ad in the first half of the season.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I say is that works well when you get a nice balanced draft like you have. It does not work well when you have a draft like I just did.
Your team's gross.
But that being said, let's go over what I did here. I went 0 RB, so I didn't take a running back until the 7th round. And that's only because the 6th round, Brock Bowers was the best value on the board. I wasn't going to have Jonathan Brooks or Chubb, 2 injured guys, to start the season as my top running back. I could have went Zach Moss, Javonte, Warren, Eckler, but I thought Gus was just as equal as those guys to me. Bowers is definitely, you could say maybe equal to Njoku, but above, opportunity-wise to Ferguson, some other guys how we can end the season, so I wanted to go there. But I started off with Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Pat Mahomes, Devonta Smith, and Terry McLaurin. Now, the one thing I can do here is I look at a team like Team 12, or I look at a team like Team 2, whose top wide receiver, Team 2, was Zay Flowers, Xavier Worthy. Team 12, top is Hollywood Brown, Deontay Johnson. I could dangle somebody like Devonta Smith for like a Mixon or Cook. I could do a Devontae Adams for Kyron Williams, who didn't fall to me in that second round, and make a preseason move there right off the bat to make my team a little bit better. But I could also ride it out with Gus Edwards, Tajay Spears, Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier, Ray Davis, Tank Bigsby, and just see, does an injury happen, early in the season, mid-season? Maybe one of these guys emerges as, like Spears and Edwards, emerges the best backs out of their backfield, and then I don't really have to worry about anything because I'm getting what I need out of them because I start Wilson, Adams, and Smith or McLaurin every single week at my wide receiver position.
So here's the problem that I have with, like, I'd much rather have a team like Team 2 and Team 12 than your team. And I know you said, you can dangle a trade. you're not going to be able to realistically, because the chances are when if a players get hurt in the middle of the season, there are way more wide receiver options in the waiver wire than there are running back options.
Correct.
So the running backs become more valuable.
Well, that's why to me the running back trade for running back wouldn't be post injury to try and grab a guy. It would be preseason. Like the draft's done, and you'd be like, I'm going to try and see if I can throw Devontae Adams for Kyren Williams or James Cook and a throwback or something like that. Or I say Devonta Smith for Mixon, like one of these guys that I didn't get, or James Cook that didn't fall to me after the Pat Mahomes pick, and try and do something like that preseason.
Why would you do that preseason? That doesn't make sense to me. It's because like I know we're doing this for sake of entertainment and just showing what it looks like, but then you go ahead and you just draft those players. I don't like preseason trades because you don't know what you're drafting.
No, but that's the only time you can play off of value of where it currently is, instead of like the value for James Cook could be through the roof higher than that if the first couple games of the season are insane.
See that? Well, yeah, it could be, but you could also have Kyren Williams who starts off slow, and then you can get him at a decreased value.
Yeah, that's so it's playing that chicken game.
That's why I don't like to do anything preseason.
But I'm
saying
based off of what I've got, that's what I would try and do there.
Yeah. Anyway, I drafted the 13 position. Stacked up running back early in the top 2 rounds. Good Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, love that. Followed up in the 3rd and 4th with DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, love that. And especially in a 14-team league, like having those 2 running backs and those 2 wide receivers, I'm completely happy with getting those guys. Still go and get my 3rd running back with Ramondre Stevenson. I knew I wouldn't have another opportunity of getting a guy like that. I have my tight end 1. The only tight end I'm going to need the entire season minus an injury is Kyle Pitts. Then go back-to-back wide receivers, rookie wide receivers, Keon Coleman and Brian Thomas. Followed up with back-to-back quarterbacks, going Trevor Lawrence and then Aaron Rodgers. And then the 3 flyers at the end of the draft going Tyrone Tracy, Adam Thielen, and Keaton Mitchell. And again, Tyrone Tracy, I'm not relying on those guys. I have Jonathan Taylor. I have Derrick Henry. I have Ramondre Stevenson. But to have Tyrone Tracy and Keaton Mitchell that have such explosive upside that if they emerge as big playmakers, again, if Achane, like you look at Achane last year, and if he would have stayed healthy throughout the rest of the season, if Keaton Mitchell would have stayed healthy the rest of the season, those guys, Keaton Mitchell only played 8 games last year, had 2 touchdowns, and averaged over 8 yards a carry.
Yeah, and
was still involved in the receiving game. It was just he averaged just under 10 fantasy points per game, in both PPR and standard. His with Derrick Henry there, he's going to be especially more valuable there as a receiver out of the backfield with that explosive upside. Love to have that later in the draft. I love the way my team looks on this. This is probably one of my favorite drafts that I've done in terms of a well-balanced team. And especially in a 14-team league, guys. Again, like I've kind of said throughout this entire draft, when you're doing a 14-team league, don't wait on the RB. Don't go RB heavy early. Don't go wide receiver heavy. Get a well-balanced team out there.
Balance your team out.
Do yourselves a favor, because the chances, especially if you're at the end of the draft, you can have swings like we saw in round 3, where you have 8 receivers, 9 receivers going. And then that takes you a full tier below of where you value guys. And so you're going to lose out on a lot of talent there. I would highly recommend not drafting a tight end or quarterback early either. There's plenty of value later on that you can go and get. And the value that you're missing at running back and wide receiver is that much. I mean, there's an extra 4 picks per round. Now, I agree with the quarterback. You can argue tight end, but definitely not early tight end. I'm talking not first 3 rounds tight end, but I would take in one of the top guys before they dry up there. I would in the 4th round do that. But the fact that Evan Ingram went in the 6th round too, that shows. But I showed what it's like taking that quarterback early, and it's difficult because rather than taking Pat Mahomes there, I could have got James Cook. I could have got Joe Mixon to anchor my running back spot there. It would have been a little more balanced, and I could have still went with
another running back there with Kenneth Walker and had two good receivers, 2 good running backs, and then still taken Dak Prescott in that 5th round there if I wanted to, or did what Chris did and just dropped down, taking like Caleb Williams and then taking Kirk Cousins. Like there's other stuff I could have done better if I wasn't doing the 0 RB, but I want to show everybody what it looks like, especially in a 14-team league.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to continue watching the Mock-A-Thon the rest of the week. We have 2 more mock drafts coming to you Thursday and Friday, and those will be 12-team. One of them will be PPR, and then we will cap off our Mock-A-Thon week with a standard scoring, what we love here at the standard, and we will be giving you all the advice you need from the different spots and the different draft positions. Thanks for tuning in.
And in the words of Howie Rose, the best voice in baseball, put it in the books, another one down.
See you next time.